opportunity Shopify could ask for, as it is still LYON without Inspire. That's a big conversation that we're going to keep talking about, but man, LYON still looked pretty good through their solo lanes last week regardless.
So Locke still not banned just yet, so it would be interesting to see, you know, if that actually goes through. A lot of the kind of considered must bans these days are still up. Jayce, Nocturne, Locke, Vayne, some of the champions that are getting kind of chain banned around the world these days. And so Locke is up and available, so we'll see if someone is willing to actually just straight up blind it. We saw it get played last week, and obviously there was that planned answer from C9 of Akali, which is supposed to be a really good matchup. Did not work out for them, but that is up and available.
Yeah, and it was interesting hearing from Quid, right? Because he was like, I actually didn't want to pick it because Akali was up. So we'll be able to track this through the draft as well. As Shopify decided, you know what? We actually want the Jayce. An insanely strong pick. Technically a flex pick. We did see Berserker play it in bot lane, but he can be flexed between mid and top as well.
It's also really interesting because now if Shopify don't take it here on 2-3, then LYON can take it on 3 and throw protection bans, right? So now it becomes a little bit more risky because you can't necessarily get that Akali matchup if you are Shopify. So
you can blind the Akali, but then it's a blind
Akali. But then you're blinding Akali.
They're going to pick something else, right? So I think that is kind of the question here is like, are they willing to give that over plus allow protection bans, you know, for that Locke, because Locke is still very, very strong. And we might just get Camille Ziggs, to be honest. I mean, early Ezreal, obviously, if you do go support here and then they go Locke, then you get this kind of support advantage. You can have some support bans going through. So there are some trade-offs here. And it is going to be, you know, Camille Ziggs pairs really well with Jayce. You're setting up for a poke comp here pretty easily. And now I'm just curious, do you match support or do you go Locke here plus protection bans? I would personally love to see Locke. I just think it's kind of fun when we get to see the new champs come through. But Leona also makes sense. I mean, we've seen the meta kind of shift towards attacking the support pairing rather than attacking the Ziggs, right? So when you go Camille, you go Shen, or you go Leona, you go something very tanky, that when the Camille goes forward, you jump on the Camille and you actually just punish the Camille themselves.
Yeah, and we see the Shen coming through. As you said, another counter to that. Interesting that Locke dropped through all the way. Probably going to be banned on 4 or 5 now, but both teams prioritizing bot lane a lot more. And specifically, I think the shift that we've seen in bot lane has been really interesting to track. In the LCS, we have only had 5 total lanes where it's been in like an ADC versus a mage. ADCs are have a 60% win rate. Mages have a 40% win rate, and 50% of those wins are Ziggs.
There you go.
Because I just think Ziggs is something that bot laners were or should have already been playing. Plays a little bit more like an AD carry, but then also is just really better than a lot of the other meta mages that we've seen popping up.
I mean, right now we're obviously just seeing kind of disjointed bans because it is, you know, Armao has already grabbed his Jarvan, so they're going to be banning out some of the AD junglers here that they think are high prio. Zin going to be taken out, and Fury going to be taken out, and on the other side, you're just banning top laners. We are now assuming that Jayce is going to be going top. Yeah, of course, it could still be flexed. You know, we've seen it played jungle, we've seen it played mid, but generally it is played top. So they're just banning out some of the top lane matchups that they don't necessarily want to see going through, and especially the pairing with Jarvan is really more what the Rumble is about rather than the 1v1 against the Jayce.
And it seems like Armao is really buying into that narrative that Zeyzal gave us. Better jungler wins. That's 5 jungle bans total against Contractz right there. They are really trying to shut this guy down and limit that champion pool. There's not a lot of AD junglers left.
There's always so many, though. Like I just feel like it's not really that big of a deal. You can still go Wukong. You can still go in towards Trundle. You can go in Pantheon. We have Skarner. We have Kiana. We have a lot. There's still like a lot of options that you can go towards. So I feel like game 1, you know, you're trying to just push him down the tier list. Clearly, LYON's prep is that Contractz will carry or no one will carry, I think, based on the bans. But game 1 of Fearless, you can never ban out someone entirely. It's just, unless their pool is horrible.
That's not what Contractz is known for. He plays a lot of things.
It's
Ksante locked in for LYON side here. Dhokla going to be piloting that one. So let's see with Shopify where they want to send that Jayce, because a Vayne hover signal is not Jayce top lane.
Ooh,
yeah, I mean, you could easily, you could easily just flex Jayce into mid lane, right? Like, he still has a lot of really good matchups there. They can also still technically, if they want to, Yep.
Oh,
okay.
There we go.
Oh.
As I was saying it, we got the Galio locked in. And I was like, we could flex it to jungle.
I was going to ask, how's the Jayce matchup into lock? Because that's still up, and I think theoretically LYON could lock that, but I don't know if you want to play lock into the Galio anymore. It's going to be harder to make action happen there in the mid lane. I don't know what to expect from a Jayce jungle, though, for Contractz here. It's not something that I've seen very much of, personally.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting watching Contractz last week, right? Because we typically expect him to be this super high kill participation jungler, like super involved with his lanes, as we see that Ahri get locked in for Saint. A Saint special, something that he does really well on. But he actually had one of the lower kill participations of all LCS junglers from week 1, and it did look like he was a little bit more disjointed. Him and Zeyzal tried to meet up on a lot of things, but they were disjointed. We have kind of the opposite happening with Isles and Armao, with Armao being the one kind of subbing in and Isles being the contracted player. So
this is going to be really interesting because, you know, I mean, on one hand, obviously there are 4 squishy targets here. So if LYON, you know, hit any CC on Ziggs, on Camille, on Jayce, on Vayne, you can probably follow up and kill them off. But at the same time, they have a tremendous amount of damage. They have very good setup with the Camille Galio, the Ziggs ult to follow it up with Shock Blast coming in. And if the Ahri or the Ezreal die early, you have very little damage left in the comp because it is kind of a 2-threat team here for LYON. Whether or not they can actually set that up and make that happen, that is the question, because there are a lot of tools that LYON do have to keep their AD carry safe. You have the Shen peel, you have to fight through Dhokla, you have to fight through Armao. That's not necessarily easy, but again, because Ahri is not a high consistent damage champion, if you kill off the AD carry, if you kill off Berserker, it is possible. And on the Ezreal, as safe as this champion is, if you get in range of that that Camille ult, well, there's no getting out of it
shift
unless
out
the
of
Camille
Hextech
is dead.
Ultimatum. Yeah, you just kind of get rubber banded back in to the center of it as we see an early invade coming in from Shopify, drop a ward down, spot out where Armao is going to be pathing. Emily, you were talking about
11 gold lead
of pathing.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow.
Look at that.
First strike.
So when I see the first strike Jayce, I immediately think the solo queue thing in my mind would be just show up to a lane, shock blast, walk away. You know, you're just farming a little bit of gold off that first strike.
Yeah,
that's also the pro thing?
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's how it still works.
Perfect. So if that's the case, I like Contractz starting topside, pathing towards the top, because if you just land a shock blast on Dhokla, already a tough matchup if the Vayne's able to get ahead, and just helping out Fudge there could be the early game plan for Contractz. Let's see where he ends up pathing overall, though.
Yeah, and like I said last week, you know, Contractz was less involved with his lanes than we usually saw. Interesting, though, to note that LYON are kind of beating the MSI hangover allegations, Isaac.
Yeah, it was a liquid IV that they had right there.
Exactly. Yeah. A little, it's a LYON IV, actually. You know, they come back. Generally, these teams with a brutal schedule, right after an international, they come back and usually they start pretty slow. And especially with LYON having a sub, their big star, Inspired Not Here, a lot of people, myself included, were thinking, hey, they might have a really slow start. TL might have a really slow start, but they both started off looking really dominant, and all the players I've talked to are like, yeah, they're the best 2 teams in the league right now. They're on a different tier.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most impressive part is that LYON stepped up. The rest of the squad stepped up. Berserker, Saint, Dhokla, Isles, every single one of them had fantastic series last week against FlyQuest. And even talking about the support, you know, Isles on the Camille was completely out-roaming Cryogen. Now he's got a lane against the Camille, roam against the Camille. But when you looked at how good he looked on the champion, I imagine he's going to have an idea of where Zeyzal is going to want to be on the map once we get into those support roam timers. Currently, it's a reset for Berserker, getting that early tier off the first back and going to start stacking that up early.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the other thing is Isles did play the Shen at MSI, and I thought it was a really nice response. And I think, again, like, the Camille should still have, like, prio in terms of moving around the map, especially really early, like at the typical level 3 swap we've been seeing. That changes once Stan United enters the picture.
Absolutely the case, but I mean, on the Shopify side, someone who had, nice sidestep there from Bvoy.
We see Zeyzal coming in, looking for it onto Isles, does not land the hook shot, Isles walks away.
Yeah, should be the end of it. Fudge had a really good week 1, and I think, you know, especially with him on the Vayne, that is going to be so important. Fudge, to me, this year has been a bit disappointing. I feel like last year he was performing at such a high individual level, even when the team wasn't looking that good, and I kind of had that expectation for him coming in this year, but he really has not been able to live up to it. Week 1, he looked great, though, both both on the Jayce and the Gnar. And again here, they set up this flex pick to give him the counter pick in top, to give him the Vayne into the Ksante. And we're going to have to see if he can really make LYON pay, if he can be able to actually make that pick worthwhile. All of the draft is basically set up for this. You know, Jayce jungle is not an amazing pick. You're willing to flex things around to get Fudge this edge, so he has to make the most of it.
Yeah, we did already see Contractz kind of fainting up there as he finished his clear, didn't see an angle, but still, like, you see the thought process behind the fact that they know they really need to keep this Vayne safe. And get her to a point where she can take over team fights. And
you can see it's not fun laning against this here for Dhokla. I mean, Dokla's already down 10 CS, and you know, we'll be able to even it out a little bit, assuming he gets all this under tower. But it's really hard to farm range minions in these kind of matchups, because generally when you step up for the range minions, that's when you're eating so much poke. Of course, in this case, Fudge is basing, so he is fine to do that. But in general, it's pretty easy to get the melees, but the range ones are really, really difficult without losing a ton of HP. So you kind of just have to pick and choose which minions you're actually going to fight for, because if you try to fight for every minion, you just die or have to base and end up losing even more.
Nice for Dhokla to be able to stick around and get this wave in. Fudge did go for the reset, so Dhokla will go for the first back and be essentially even in CS. It's only 3 down. So yes, Fudge got the health bar low, but wasn't actually able to deny enough minions for it to really be a substantial difference. As now we see some roams into the mid lane. Supports and junglers both hovering around here. It's going to be Zeyzal walking up first. Going to soak up some of that XP in the lane. And still Contractz in Fog of War. Same can be said for Armao and Isles. The Shock Blast will go out. They're looking onto Saint. Hits level 6. Spear rushes away as now the Hero's Entrance comes in. First blood secured for Zeyzal with the Ignite, and the taunt lands onto Armao. It's the Rebels picking up 2.
Yeah, really, really nice setup. And again, this is what I wanted to see from Shopify. The path to a Shopify victory is this support jungle duo working better together than we kind of saw from them in week 1. So even though LYON was there to respond, it was a really nice response. And Zeyzal, right there, better jungle will win. Did you know the Contractz jungle Jayce? Maybe he believes in
blast?
That was great.
That's the better jungle.
That was a chunky shock blast right there. He's able to start it off.
Okay, I have free time still. They keep you on Drake here. I'm gonna walk up here a bit.
I'm gonna take space then.
Just try to get his ult. Okay,
Fine.
good. I'm on J4, J4,
Yeah,
J4.
hey, we can win.
J4.
Ari's dead too, so we can keep
I
chasing.
can J4, Ahri.
Nice job, guys.
Ahri flash, baby.
Love that call from Contractz there as well, just repeating J4, J4, J4. Yes, the Shen's right there, but they made the call. No flash on the jungler, so Armao goes down. Now, out of the replay, it is Dragon to LYON, so they pick up a neutral objective, but Shopify currently with a 1.4 thousand gold lead.
Yeah, doing really well in those early stages. I mean, they have a very powerful, you know, kind of skirmishing comp right there in the 3v3. Obviously, Zinie was level 6, was able to get a really high value Hero's Entrance, and even though the charm landed on Zeyzal, he already had the passive shield up, the magic damage shield, so he didn't really take that much early on. And they just weren't able to actually burst anyone down on the Shopify side. Zeyzal lived. They got so much value out of his initial engage, and Shopify end up with a pretty significant edge here now. You have a losing top lane that is going to be almost impossible to win 1v1, and now mid lane, jungle, support, all kind of put behind.
Yeah, and we already see LYON swapping their bot lane top, so that bot duo will be going up top, and I assume Fudge is going to move to match post this wave.
Let's see where Bvoy
Ziggs is recalling, so it's very likely that they will try to do that. I mean, Vayne has no wave clear, right? So if you put Vayne in a situation where you are going to get pushed in, it's very difficult for Vayne to defend the tower. At the same time, though, it can be Bvoy maybe getting some alone time on that bottom tower, so he is heading right back out.
I mean, Dhokla just picked up all armor. No health picked up there, so I guess they say, no, let's keep the AP into that lane and just send Zeyzal top, because as long as Fudge has the support with him, much lower chance that he gets dove or is in any kind of trouble. Shock Blast lands this time onto Isles. Has level 6 now as Zeyzal looks for it. Shadow Dash away from Isles, and he gets to safety. But pretty early level 6 for the Shen. Has not been doing as much roaming here. Gets it before Zeyzal does. I think Zeyzal after this wave might have enough, I would imagine. We'll see there as Armao's going to clear out this ward. The Grubs have spawned. It seems like both teams are jockeying around the area, as it's currently 8 total members on the top half of the map.
Yeah, a lot of people up there definitely wanting to try to set up a fight around the Grubs here. Zinie has his ultimate back up, and Contractz just trying to set up and get some poke down prior to this fight.
They see Saint come out of the brush now. It's going to be a fight for the scuttle. And Shopify have full priority around that, so they bully LYON away from the top river, get the scuttle crab. Now, will they start up the grubs? They do. Seems like that will keep LYON in the neighborhood. And looking at the summoner spells, TP is available on Dhokla. It's not available for Bvoy, so there could be a numbers advantage for LYON if they really want to force it.
Also worth mentioning, Isles is 6 and Zeyzal is not, so they do have that support level advantage.
Flash out from Contractz as the engage comes in from Armao, and he's just popped like a balloon. Shopify Rebellion say thanks for the free kill, but what an engage coming in from Isles. Taunt onto 3. Charm lands onto Zeyzal. Saint's trying to make some magic happen, but Berserker's the only damage as Saint's almost out of mana. Zinie and Fudge backing away. That Mystic Shot will not land. So LYON, they will trade kills on jungler 1 for 1.
Yeah, it is just a 1 for 1 at the end of the day. That was an incredible taunt. Look at a 3-man taunt flash there from Isles. Really well played by him, but they just don't have that much damage to actually follow it up. So they're not able to really make the most of that. At the end of the day, though, it is still a pretty even trade, and 2 of those grubs are up and available still. So we'll see if they want to return and just brawl it out one more time.
Could be. I was surprised that Armao actually looked for that right away, because he's the one that starts this off.
Yeah, I mean, it's the flash out from Contractz that really gets him. He goes in with the flag and drag, it gets flashed away from Zinie lands, but then that is a beautiful play there from Isles. 3-man taunt flash. Saint is around, but Saint is Zoom, and they don't have enough damage to really follow through, and Berserker knows if he shifts over the wall, he might just get stunned and taken out.
And then looks like the action also happened bot side, just flash for flash right there. Good reaction time from Bvoy.
Yep, and we'll see them kind of resetting on the map. Now, Shopify did end up with those 2 grubs taken. They went back and scooped those up. These were our 2 teams. Obviously, very small sample size from week 1, but they both had 100% grub rate going into this game. So someone was going to lose their control over grubs.
The most important statistic.
I know.
Well, does that count?
Shambles.
Does that account for when you get 2 out of 3? Does that count as winning the grubs, or do you have to get all 3? Because right now it's still tied.
As far as I know, it just counts as taking grubs. So that would be a 2.
Okay.
A 2 would count towards that.
Interesting.
The king of the grubs.
Statistically, yeah.
Well, not looking good for LYON then. Ooh,
yep.
Shopify
more examples of jungle diff. 2 grubs to 1.
Contractz really took those words to heart. 5 jungle bans don't matter. Give him a mid laner. He'll play it.
Frozen Heart already done here for Dhokla, which obviously going to be quite nice against Fudge. And it's going to do something against Contractz, but it's mostly really just against Fudge there. And it is interesting that he decided to go that route instead of building something that at least has a little bit of HP, because there are some pretty significant sources of magic damage with the Ziggs, as well as, you know, Zinie's going to be dealing some damage there as well.
Damage from Zeyzal. Yeah. But, hey, at least in that 1v1, he's going to feel much more secure. Is in that lane matchup as Fudge is heading topside. Dragon's been started up by LYON. Contractz and the rest of Shopify Rebellion are approaching from the bottom side here, as Saint is controlling the approach from mid. Maybe just Shock Blast steal, and it does not look like Shopify want to go for it. So Dragon secure, that's the 2nd Drake to LYON.
Yeah, that's really well done by LYON. You know, even from this deficit, they're able to get both of those. Armao's low, but they want to fight.
Landed. They're just going to Cataclysm in. LYON want the fight. Here's Entrance. Will keep the carry alive for a little while. 1 for 1 trade so far. The knockup will land on the Saint, but he's Spirit Rushing away. Zeyzal goes down. A double kill to Saint. Fudge TP'd in, has to flash away over the Dragon Pit wall, and Saint wants even more. Will land the charm, but not a lot of damage to follow up. Still 2 kills for LYON.
Yeah, LYON's starting to pull this game back pretty heavily in their favor. The gold lead doesn't really mean much of anything anymore. And Armao probably knows this is a one-way trip, but he's just going to start it out for the team. Saint goes in, Berserker is there early, and Bvoy's getting pushed out by this TP, which makes things pretty difficult because the Ziggs can't really be involved. You can see he's over the back wall of that pit because Dhokla zoned him out. Dhokla comes in and then pushes Fudge out as well. So pretty significant plays there from Dhokla, even though he's not involved in any kills or assists. He kind of won them the fight.
Yeah, it's really big keeping Bvoy out of these fights for LYON, especially since in that entire exchange, Berserker was pretty much untouched. Saint was allowed to do whatever he wanted, and we talked about, okay, what do these good LYON fights look like? These are the 2 carries that have to stay alive. So that went really, really well for them.
And I will say, if it's, you know, the Ziggs combo plus Galio ult, like all these ults layered onto one big engage, if it's only the J4 that you're hitting, that's only one member that you're using big cooldowns on, and yeah, they get the 1, but lose the fight after.
Exactly, and I mean, Jarvan is happy to give his life in a situation like that. You know, as I had said early on, it's really about Saint and Berserker, right? They are the main consistent damage sources, especially Berserker is that highest DPS champion. So if you're killing off Armao, sure, that's great, but like he's starting off the fight, he's drawing all of these spells, which then allows Saint and Berserker the freedom to then go forward to play more aggressively as soon as those are out of the way. So he goes in, he dies, but has done his job.
Yeah, supporting cast role right there.
Hey, he said his job is to get carried. In the interview, he's like, I'm going to get on their back. Give
him a couple wins.
He was very honest about what he expected. Yeah, but no, it also just showcases that LYON really know how they want to play this out, right? Whereas despite the fact that we talked about how easy it can be to set up for fights with the Shopify composition, we saw just last week that sometimes they're not all on the same page, right? And especially with something like where you really do want the Galio, the Camille, and the Ziggs to really be working in tandem. Woof.
That was fun.
Ziggs, he's a fun champion.
Yeah, Berserker is going to have to go for a much later reset. That's a TP now from Saint just to catch this mid wave, and Armao's here as well, so Summoner Spell down.
Yeah, they don't want to allow Ziggs to just take down that tower early. Obviously, Ziggs has so much short damage. They had really good poke between both Contractz and Bvoy to push Berserker back, and then the ult to delay the recall one more time. Might have been able to kill him if he hit the center, but of course you're expecting Berserker to react to that, and as a result, they do get that TP out and maybe get some lane assignments that they're going to be a little bit happier about.
Pro players do have good reaction time.
It's very rare that you see them caught window shopping. Still happens sometimes.
But it does happen.
It does happen still.
Happens to us all.
Yeah.
True.
It's like one of the... I love experiences that are shared between solo queue and pro play when you're like, hey, I do that too sometimes. Yeah.
How come all the experiences that you're sharing with them, though, are bad ones?
Yeah, I was going to say, the only time I ever
You're like, I'm just like a pro. I get
Azael,
window shopping.
I also make
I get
mistakes.
first blooded. I miss cannons.
Azael, you've played enough with me to know the reason why. Shopify Rebellion currently have a tiny little gold lead, just a hint of one, but it's not enough anymore. They had about a 1,500 at one point. They've lost that. LYON are stacking the dragons, getting to the Herald faster here, and controlling the Rift from the mid-game onward right now.
Yeah, it does look like Shopify might want to try contesting this. At least poke from Fog.
Ooh, good poke right there. And now they're going to full engage onto Saint. The Hextech Ultimatum is used, plus the Ziggs bomb, and the Ignite might be enough. He gets a shield, and Saint lives! The Triumph proc will heal him up, and he gets out of there.
Zinie with a pretty big mistake, though. Zinie just kind of walked into the middle of the play and tried to use his ult right in front of LYON and just got interrupted. If his ult went off, they would have killed off Saint for sure. So Zeyzal ends up giving his life, but the mistake from the positioning there of Zinie ends up meaning Saint lives.
And that's what we've been talking about with the Shopify team not necessarily all being on the same page at the same time, or how these individual mistakes can lead to a misexecution of this team composition specifically there, where in a perfect world you have the Ziggs ult going down, you have the Galio ult coming on top of it. They should be able to get Bvoy a little bit of time in front of this turret, though.
I imagine they will. Oh, no, Armao actually threatens it. Has the Cataclysm available. Does not use it, but let's take another look at that. Yeah, because it starts off, it seems like they're going to get Saint with Contractz landing the chunk and then Zeyzal going in.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be free, right? But Zinie is spot on the side, and look where Zinie ults from. He's literally ulting in melee range of Isles.
Yeah.
Like, that is just bad, right? And it's a pretty big mistake, and as a result, Saint barely lives here. The Stand United coming through last second as well. And that is a tough one. I mean, even if he just didn't use it and just walked through and landed a Q or anything, it would have been fine. Or if he taunt flashed, you know, flashed on, excuse me. Of course, he can't taunt flash anymore. But yeah, it's a bit of a rough one.
Yeah, and I mean, he was spotted on vision that entire time, right? So they not only saw him coming, but then he makes that mistake of going to ult in, like literally in Isles' face where he can easily stop him. Also, LYON cleaning up that third Drake. So, Kangas, I was actually, before that fight broke out, going to break some bad news to you, which is that LYON are actually in a really good position in the game because of their Drake stacking.
Well, I'm happy for them.
Because of how they've been playing, and also because any of these...
I don't believe you.
Any of these contests that Shopify have tried to make, they haven't actually been able to get anything else on the map, right?
Yeah.
Like, that engage from Armao was actually so good because it kept them like pinned there after the Drake take, so they couldn't spread out on the map and do anything else after what was kind of a soft contest.
I've been really just kind of concerned about Shopify, even from pretty early on, where they got this early advantage, but then they weren't even trying to actually take these dragons. They were showing up late, and it felt like if you can't fight from a significant advantage, then you're probably not going to be able to fight at all. There's a nice little satchel there onto Berserker, but...
I thought he was going for the turret at first, but yes, he was just looking for Berserker. Was not enough to take the turret.
Even with all this poke that Shopify have, they still have not been able to get this tier 1 turret down because of how well LYON have been defending it, right? And recognizing they don't want that to go down. They don't want to give this map over to Ziggs. So even though you do see things like Berserker getting chunked out, previously getting chunked out here, they've still been able to defend that mid-tier 1 really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost 19 minutes into the game, and no towers have actually fallen on either side. Bot lane tier 1 is on 1 plate, mid lane tier 1 is on 1 plate, so there are some towers. Top lane tier 1 as well. So there are some towers across the map that either team could grab pretty easily, you know, if they're given the opportunity. But of course, first turret gold is pretty significant, so both teams are trying to defend that as best as they possibly can.
Yeah, and it's pretty rough for this Shopify composition specifically to have no turrets down. Maybe I do see Ziggs in front of a turret.
Come on, Bvoy.
I also see Berserker and Armao there to defend it.
He gets hit by the True Shot Barrage.
No,
They're going to walk up.
Yeah.
First turret taken, 19:27 into the game. That is, when I think of a Ziggs composition, I think if this is the champion that's supposed to be taking turrets by like 13 minutes.
Yeah.
This is very, very late, and it's almost answered immediately by LYON just 10 seconds later.
Answered immediately by LYON, not only with this push on bot side, but then Dhokla is actually able to push top all the way in. So yeah, I mean, for a Ziggs Jayce composition, obviously the Jayce is coming out of the jungle, he's not in lane, but for this high poke composition, getting the first tier 1 down at 19 minutes, especially with a Ziggs, not ideal.
It's not the checklist. When I think of checklists of champion strengths, I'm like, that's, you know, Ziggs pretty good at those.
But they did get first tower.
Yeah.
They did. True. Now, how close are they on the others?
The gold is pretty even. LYON do have 3 Drakes, so, you know.
One plate in the top lane, so maybe just send Ziggs up there, try and get one more satchel.
It's definitely possible you could. I mean, the tower, actually finishing off the towers isn't really that big of a deal at this point. You know, most of the gold is in the individual plates, and they got first tower, so not the end of the world. But, I mean, to me, this game is going to come down probably to the next Dragon fight. LYON has had way better setups around these objectives. And Shopify, after those couple early kills, after that big skirmish win early, they haven't really been able to do anything. And LYON is kind of just playing a slow, controlled game here that they are kind of famous for. That last fight should have, I think, been a win for Shopify, but Zinie had a pretty big mistake, you know, didn't follow up correctly and wasn't able to kill Saint as a result. If they win this next fight, you can kind of continue on in this game. But if you lose that fight, you lose Soul this early on, it feels like it's probably cooked for Shopify.
Yeah, and we see LYON are already trying to set that up, right? With this push mid, dropping Herald there, sending Dhokla to push in bot wave. Although Shopify were able to get that tier 1 on the top side, what this is doing is it's just setting up this really nice vision line that just makes it very scary for Shopify to go in and set up their own vision or set up for this Drake, as they are using the Ziggs push to push out mid, though.
Yeah, Bvoy would really love to get a second item here. We'll see if he's going to find the opportunity, because Saint and Berserker are both super strong right now. Saint is on 2.5 items in there.
Saint goes over the wall, not hit by the taunt. That was pretty scary, though. That's Flash down and the Spirit Rush used, so ultimate and the Flash Summoner spell. Big cooldowns for Saint to not have as Dragon spawning in 20 seconds.
Tried to look for a Charm Flash, I think, over the wall there, but didn't find the angle and ends up losing his ult, and now, as a result, I don't know, LYON might not be able to actually fight this. If they try to force it, Shopify definitely could win out from this spot.
Big poke there onto Berserker as well. Throws out the True Shot Barrage, not going to land, so the poke is not answered. Shopify Rebellion have half health for Fudge. That's the scary one, as he's the one that has to get through the front line. Dhokla, if he finds an angle, that could be scary, but again, with no mobility abilities on Saint, it's going to be hard for the damage to actually follow up. Dragon's been started now. Dokla's going to walk it back. Try and aggro it to the bottom side of the river. All members of Shopify on the top side of the river. LYON are looking for a front to back, as Isles will now separate from the pack and potentially go for the flank. Opts to not and goes back towards the rest of the team. Saint will go for the charm through the Dragon Pit wall. Isles goes for the engage onto Zeyzal, taunt in as he just looks straight for Berserker. They got the AD carry and they got the team fight. Shopify Rebellion pull off the combo this time. And Dhokla and Saint, the last 2 members from LYON to try and get away. Dhokla will go down. Saint will escape for now, as he will limp back to the mid lane. But that is Dragon Soul denied and a team fight win. But Saint wants a little bit more. Goes on a rampage as he will outplay Zinie, dodging the charm, or the taunt rather, and is able to survive. So Fancy feet from Saint, but still a win for Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, I mean, Saint's Ahri is just kind of bonkers, right? It's one of his best champions. But that was a team fight that Shopify were looking for, right? Because even though Zeyzal is going to end up getting really chunked as soon as Dhokla gets in, Saint is all the way around here, and immediately Zeyzal gets onto Berserker. Berserker is the target that they need to kill. They get the shutdown onto the Ziggs of all people too, which is really, really good. And then there's some Saint shenanigans on the backside of this, but Vayne is also exiting this with a double kill. This is a massive fight for Shopify, and they stop the Drake stacking.
No flash, Galio.
I know, but I don't want to give up control here. So like, I don't know how to help.
Obviously, kind of discussing. Probably of two minds on that fight, you know. In my mind, LYON should have never tried to fight that. As soon as they actually lost ult and flash on Saint, you're trying to fight where your most fed member has no ult, and Ahri is trashed without ult. You don't really have much threat whatsoever. I mean, Saint's ult came back up, and he gets the kill on Jayce at the end of the fight, which is cool, but Berserker was down at half HP. Saint was not really able to be involved at all. Almost all his damage is at the end of the fight.
Yeah.
It's kind of fake. And so,
but it looks cool.
It does look cool. But I mean, you gifted a 2,000 gold lead over to Shopify, right? And it's like, it's fine to look for that charm flash. It's fine to look for an aggressive play early. But when that doesn't work out, you have to kind of realize your place in the game. And Berserker, you know, is not able to finish off Zeyzal when they go for this taunt flash, they go for this play, because Saint is not playing beside them, so they don't actually have the damage to burst him. And then Berserker at half HP gets ulted, gets killed, and I just feel like LYON kind of gave away a freebie there, and that's, I'm assuming, what the discussion was with Dhokla. Maybe some people thought they shouldn't fight it, some people thought they should.
Yeah. As right now, the fight for Shopify is for bottom turret. They will send multiple members to hover. Fudge will get the turret.
Yeah, and I think the other important thing is look at where that gold is going, right? Like now Bvoy is 3-0-2. He's a lot more comfortable than when he was previously. Fudge is now up almost 2K. Obviously, some of that was just from his laning lead, right? But he exited that team fight with 2 kills on the back half of it as well. So it's these carries on Shopify that this whole team composition is designed to set up for that came out ahead in that fight.
The big combo is going to do a lot more damage now that Bvoy's working towards that third item here. I will say for LYON's side, though, the main character is Saint. He's the one with the gold lead for them, and he's got a 3K individual lead. That is more than the combined gold differential from the top 2 of Shopify's side. So he's the one kind of keeping LYON in this game currently.
He absolutely is, but I mean, Fudge has really been set up for success as well. You know, he is going to be having his third item done here pretty quickly, and his solo queue record, this is his first pro game on it, but his solo queue record 14-3.
Nice.
So very comfortable on the pick, has
heavy.
been playing it, has been prepping it, and is set up really, really well, because honestly, there's not a lot of threat for Fudge against this team. Like, there is Taunt Flash, there is Charm Flash, but there's not that many different things you have to watch out for. And if they spend Taunt on someone else, if you see them use Charm, you can kind of just hit Ghost, hit Ult, and go crazy, because there's not that many ways that LYON can really kill you. Like, I just don't see Fudge dying without getting charmed unless he drastically misplays.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if Saint's able to find that charm, or if maybe Armao is able to find that Cataclysm, but it's going to be tough for LYON going forward. They're still on Dragon Soul Point, and we have 50 seconds until that next fight. Shopify going to try and deny it once again, and they're in a good position to do so.
Yeah, now it's Shopify who are pushing in. Previously, it was LYON before Saint got his ult blown, right? But now, LYON have essentially set it up so that all of these Drakes have to still be fought. So if I'm LYON, I am thinking, okay, how are we going to make it so that we're in a more advantageous position? Shopify are doing a really good job of pushing up in this jungle, setting their vision down, making sure that bot wave is pushed in courtesy of Fudge. So to make it a lot more dicey for LYON to check into this.
I'd also say Contractz is just doing a great job of hitting Shock Blast. Yeah. He's being so annoying for Berserker, and Berserker does have
Zeyzal just found a pick potentially here, looking at Armao. Hextech ultimatum to dodge the damage. Here's Entrance comes in, but they didn't even need it. Armao's just out of there. Jungler pick. Shopify Rebellion get this dragon.
Yep, and
the fight continues, though. Looks like LYON want more. Zinie still a little separated from the rest of the team. The Ziggs bombs are doing some damage here, but Dhokla goes all out, gets the kill onto Zinie. Now Fudge is pushing out the rest of the members of LYON, while the Dragon is still the focus for Shopify. It's a trade of kills, mid laner for jungler, but Shopify once again deny the soul.
Yeah, well done by Shopify. Again, it's just difficult for LYON to have enough damage. They think, okay, we can just burst down the Camille, but Armao was already quite low when he went forward, and Saint goes in, but it didn't feel like Berserker was really able to follow up too much. It didn't feel like Dhokla or Isles were really there. And if you pile in too much, then you can get screwed by the Galio ult. Yep. So they weren't able to finish him off. They lose their jungler, and that means they lose the Dragon here once again. So Shopify with some pretty good setup.
Ooh, Saint going for the flash charm. I believe he's trying to predict something right there, as now Isles will go in with the Stand United. It's a 1-for-1 trade, as Zinie will go down. Bvoy still barely alive. Berserker once more, flashes in! Double kill! Make it a triple to Berserker. That's a lot of gold going over to the 80 carry for LYON.
Berserker says, we are not done yet. Like, we can still make those plays. It looked pretty dicey with Zeyzal kind of coming in off the top ropes on there, but LYON were immediately ready to respond, and instant triple kill for Berserker. I feel like he always forces these plays and finds multi-kills off of them.
Yeah, he was able to find a pretty big play. I mean, this one was forced by Saint, though. Looking for the Charm Flash, he was predicting a flash from Bvoy. He thought, I go Charm Flash, he's going to flash towards the tower, so that is why he is missing by that much. It is a prediction, but Bvoy sees where the Charm is going, is able to, you know, kind of take that in, and doesn't use his flash, or doesn't flash into it, but Berserker makes up for it.
Nice. Yo, no flashing, Jayce.
The old clap. I love it when teammates clap for you after your play. That's a good feeling right there. As these two players, man, Berserker and Saint, have had a fantastic run, not only so far this summer, but all year here. You look at some of Saint's stats so far on this beautiful Riftbound-inspired stats card. 10-0-7 on Akali. That was a great
This is
stat
their
line.
MSI. This is the MSI pull. You know, you're cracking some MSI packs.
MSI
These are their
foils.
MSI performances. Both these guys were huge for LYON. A big part of their success. Took down a bunch of #1 seeds. Almost took down HLE. The tournament winners went to 5.
Yep.
And Berserker and Saint were a really big part of that. This one a bit of a whiff from Saint, but you know, sometimes your teammates are there to catch the ball when you drop it, and Berserker definitely was this time.
And you forgot the most important one, Azael. 3-0 versus G2. I just want to make sure that we got that out of there.
We've done that one a lot, you know. It's,
it's not even impressive
It was on
anymore.
the card.
It's just another Tuesday at this point.
But maybe people weren't looking, you know. Some people are like making food, or they're at the gym.
Yeah, you miss it because it's so fast.
So you got to make sure that we repeat, we beat G2 3-0. There we go.
A couple times now.
Do you watch League of Legends at the gym?
I do.
I do, actually.
Actually, I was doing that yesterday. Yeah. I was doing a leg day.
Nice.
Squats for volume. Can't you tell? Do I still have the pump? I don't have the pump still, but very sore. All right, well, I'm not doing nearly as much carrying right now as Fudge in the top lane here. 3 items completed, ready to just be unleashed on Summoner's Rift here. Nobody can really answer him in that 1v1, and he's also ready for the front to back. Speaking of, LYON look to be forcing that as they're pushing in mid lane here. They have a little trap over the wall, but Shopify Rebellion do not walk up Bvoy. If that had been a second earlier, actually might have just gone down.
Yeah, and they had an idea of it. They had that blue trinket that just got dropped over by that Raptor pit, so they knew they could be playing over the wall. They were hugging their side of the map, playing towards that top side, so making it difficult for them to look for it, because Saint is very, very strong. If he goes in, he hits that charm on someone like Bvoy, who has no defensive itemization whatsoever, it is going to be threatening. But got to respect this Baron take here, because Vayne can kill this in a hurry. And they do pull off, so not going to be too big of a deal now, but we'll see if they are looking for any sort of a pick maybe from Fog.
Love these shock blasts repeatedly from Contractz, even one for the Serpent's Fang. So things like Stand United, much lower shield on that. You know, it's getting a lot of value whenever you're able to find somebody out of position, get that big chunk, and stop them from blocking that.
Yeah, and I did like that little setup from Shopify, right? Like, they made sure both of their side waves were pushed in. They made it so that LYON kind of had to check into them. And even though they weren't on the Baron, we've talked about how much poke can come out of this team composition. Shock blast, bouncing bombs from Ziggs. Like, it's just really difficult to deal with when Shopify are in fog and LYON have to check it.
I will say, though, the later the game goes, I mean, obviously Ziggs is doing more damage, but Berserker now has 6 stacks on Gluttonous Greaves, now has Endless Hunger, so now he actually has quite a bit of lifesteal, quite a bit of sustain from that. So, yeah, if you're hitting him constantly, he's going to be low, but he gets access to the wave, and his healing is going to be going up a lot more. Every one of those Qs is healing him for 70, so he is going to be able to sustain through a lot more of this, and that early Shock Blast has pretty much been shrugged off.
It's already about 400 health. He just got back right there from hitting the wave and then hitting Zinie. Speaking of Zinie, now half health walking in. Dragon has spawned. This is once again a soul fight for LYON. They did a great job stacking those early dragons. Can they get the reward of the Dragon Soul? Shopify Rebellion are going to approach from mid as Zeyzal's actually jumping straight in onto Berserker. They're trying to full send on the AD carry once again, and they get him once again. The Ignite taking him down. No, the shield from Stand United is enough. Berserker is alive as Isles keeps his carry safe. Shopify Rebellion tried their hardest to get the AD carry down. LYON will find a 3-for-0 fight.
They threw everything at Berserker. Berserker still lived. Really great setup from LYON, sending Armao to the Drake, forcing Shopify to come into them. Zeyzal saw the angle. I would love to see how much HP Berserker had.
Let's watch this one more time.
Before the shield comes in.
I mean, Berserker got incredibly low. Locket was there. Stand United was there. Exhaust was there. He full sends it onto him, but people aren't really able to get through and actually back him up. It is just the Ziggs ult. Fudge couldn't actually get in range. I wonder if Fudge could have played this fight more aggressively and just flashed in, because one more auto would have killed him. Fudge tried to slow play it and then got caught by the charm. Wasn't able to flash that either. And so that is definitely a tough fight, because, you know, if the Vayne flashes in, maybe he gets taunted and dies, but at the same time, Berserker is dead instantly, and then maybe you can play the fight out from there. But the fact that Berserker did not die when you sent so many resources onto him and live with barely any HP, and then you get charmed without flashing anyway, is a bit of a disaster fight from Fudge and from Shopify.
Yeah, and now look at the map for LYON, right? They're already on Baron. Top wave was pushed in, had to be responded to. Mid wave was pushed in, had to be responded to. There's really no way outside of some sort of lucky poke that they would be able to contest that Baron. And the game is fully back in LYON's control. And
I kind of feel like, I mean, I don't think Berserker's actually going to go for it, but from against a comp like this, okay, he did. Seekers. I was going to say, like, you just go towards Zonies here, and now there's no win conditions basically for Shopify, because you full send it like that onto Saint, he's just going to Zonias. Now you full send it onto Berserker, he's just going to Seekers. And that is kind of the end of your initial engage. So now you have to try to layer the CC and not just full send everything at once, but that is very, very difficult. He has a lot of sustain to this point, and they have a lot of damage with that Infernal Soul secured, with the Baron buff secured. So the job for Shopify just got way harder. They might have kind of just seen this game fall out of their grasp.
I mean, LYON did a great job getting those early 3 dragons and pressured 3 dragons in a row. All it takes is that one mistake from Shopify, which they already made a couple in the early game. And then LYON are able to capitalize, get the Dragon Soul, and Shopify Rebellion. Man, they really made you believe for a little bit there that they could do it. But from this position,
Saint's
you have
TP.
to favor LYON. TP coming in here from Saint, a deep teleport, as it looks like they're going to just push in for this bottom turret, tier 2. Take that one down. Saint will stop the approach. As Shopify Rebellion, they're just grouping together. At this point, it's like a just try and death ball with your poke comp.
Yeah.
Seems to be the name of the game.
I mean, Shopify, I think we're hoping that LYON were going to split with the Baron buff, and that they were going to be able to find someone with Camille and just kind of pick off someone on one side, right? That was their hope there. But LYON were playing pretty respectful. They all stayed down towards bot. They didn't play through multiple lanes. They just pushed mid, went bot, took the tower there. And Berserker not easy to engage on now. Now if you full send it, again, you have to deal with the Seekers. You have to get that out of the way early, and then you have to be able to deal with the response that is going to be coming through from LYON. And now that they have eyes on everywhere Shopify is, you can see multiple members moving back and forth through the jungle. Isles and Armao are just kind of bouncing between these lanes. And their soul laners knock down that mid lane tier 2. Now they're going to take away the jungle camps, push out top, and they're just starting to extend this gold lead.
Yeah, they'd already set all of this up, and like you already pointed out, like Shopify are still going to look for these plays. In their game against Disguise last week, it actually looked like they were about to lose until they did get a really nice Vi engage from Contractz and were able to pull off that particular Galio composition. But it's so difficult the way that LYON are playing this out on the map, and especially since, as Azael already pointed out, it's just now near impossible to burst down Berserker like you would want to start off a fight. So you basically have to find an isolated target that you can kill. And
ooh, and getting picked yourself is not step number one for Shopify. LYON, with a nice charm from Saint, will take down the enemy support and have a numbers advantage.
It is step number one for LYON, though.
Exactly.
Now, the main engage tool there is gone. You know, Zinie's not going to be the one who can just kind of throw himself in first. He generally more wants to be that follow-up. So now LYON can press across the map here. They're not really that scared of getting engaged on. So Saint is pushing through bot. Berserker could be in some trouble.
Big damage onto Berserker. He uses the Seeker's Arm Guard early and is still chunked down by the Shock Blast. That will be Stand United as now Dhokla's the focus, and a shutdown to Bvoy means signs of life for the Rebellion. Huge chunk onto Berserker, puts Line out of position, and Shopify capitalized.
Yeah, that was really, really well done. Berserker got a little bit too confident there, pushing forward, kind of walking up, I think, to probably try to auto the tower, and seemed like he took some damage from Fudge. Yeah. He obviously got smoked by Bvoy. Had to use the Seekers pretty early on there just to actually immune the Ziggs ult. So let's watch one more time how exactly this did happen, because I think he was just trying to siege. Yeah, shifts into tower range, gets satcheled back, taking full damage there from Fudge and Bvoy. Just a pretty big mistake from Berserker. Felt very confident because the Camille was dead. He does end up surviving, but it did mean that Dhokla loses his life. And look how fast Dhokla dies to this Vayne. I mean, the true damage just shreds you.
Guys, I fixed bot.
That's a fair reaction to the shift.
Yep. Sometimes you just gotta laugh. You know, if your opponent gives it to you, you take it. And Berserker didn't want to use the flash there, so instead his top laner loses his life. This gives some breathing room for Shopify Rebellion, but they're still down gold line, still have the Dragon Soul. I think LYON are still in a really good position, but currently Shopify control the approach to the Elder Dragon, but in goes Saint, the charm on the top laner. Fudge is out of there. Here's entrance once again, stopped by Saint, goes into the stasis. And now Berserker's just going forward. They got the damage for Zinie. Shopify Rebellion losing their fed Vayne will also most likely just lose the game right here. LYON have the wave mid, but said they're going to peel back for the Elder Dragon spawning in 2 seconds.
I mean, that is just huge. Again, Fudge dies without being able to flash, you know, multiple times now. Saint has caught him with the charm. I did say this is the only way he can really die. That's the only real threat onto him. But every time Saint is finding him and he's unable to react, just gets burst down again after getting caught by that charm. And now this will be Soul and Elder, and Berserker, he wants more. Yeah, immediately gets the Elder buff, going for Zeyzal. Oh, the bird is enough. And Zeyzal dies. That's now 6k gold lead, plus the Dragon Soul, plus the Elder Dragon buff. Resets will come in for LYON, but you have to imagine this next push will spell the end of the game. Let's get another look at that from Saint's POV. Yeah, Saint coming over the wall. He has a 6,000 individual gold lead at this point, and gets eyes onto Fudge. And this is from Fudge POV. Obviously, they do not have vision on him, and it's Charm Flash so hard to react to that. And you know, Shopify just did not have the proper vision in the area, and Fudge was very far forward. Felt like he could get some damage down onto Armao as he was walking in, but Saint makes him pay big time. Yeah. I feel like both coaching staffs must be going through it in this game, to be honest. We got to get Revan a helmet if he's smacking his chair like that. Don't worry, those are comfy chairs. Okay, there's lots of cushioning. Fair enough. Very ergonomic. He's also got the great head of hair, too, to give him extra padding. Another thing I liked from that fight was how Dhokla was dealing with making sure that Contractz and Bvoy really couldn't participate as well on the very bottom side of it. Because, again, you kind of have to spread apart the targets to make room for Saint. And I think in some of these team fights, LYON have done a really excellent job of that. They have. And, I mean, you know, this is kind of like two sides of the same coin. If Fudge dies, Dhokla is not under threat from anyone, right? If Fudge is free hitting on Dhokla, Dhokla dies instantly. But as soon as Fudge is dead, Dokla's just going to run at your carries and create infinite space for Saint and Berserker. There's no other threat. No one can deal with him. It's going to take forever for a Ziggs or a Jayce to actually kill him off. So here goes. Oh, Saint with another masterclass solo kill under the top turret. They're just styling on him at this point. I mean, the work's been done. Yeah, this is a ridiculous carry performance from Saint as Fudge will try for the outplay, is able to dodge away from Armao, still knocked up by the hero's entrance. Berserker goes into the stasis as Armao is diving under the turret into the GA. Saint still alive, Berserker still alive. This is still the end of the game, but Shopify are at least making him work for it for a little while longer. Armao now joins the team on a rampage here.
as 4 will fall from the Rebellion. It's only Contractz left alive. LYON can walk in the Baron-empowered waves and close it out. GG, LYON will take game number 1. Do they want to die for it? Do they want to go for it? They have the Elder buff. Shut down onto Armao, trying to get Contractz. Oh, the Elder has expired, but Berserker gets the double and the ace for a game 1 win.
I mean, LYON may have won, but Contractz just solo killed Armao there, so jungle
death.
Oh, man, that has got to be one of the biggest individual gold leads I've ever seen. That was 8,000 gold by the end of the game there for Saint. Monster Ahri game from him.
It's joining Sylas as one of those champions you just like cannot let him have. He is, spoiler, my player of the game. I'm curious to see who the Lounge has as theirs.
That makes him the player of the game.
Yeah, we're aligned.
Yep.
Well voted, Emily.
Thanks.
Well
Good job, Emily.
voted. An applause to Emily for that take.
Azael and Kangas, your vote doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
Yep.
Emily got hers in first. She's joined the team.
Yeah,
Everybody
we have
else.
majority. We've done it.
Say it's insane though. That was freaking crazy.